There's a moment in history where ancient ingenuity slaps modern comfort right across the face. This is one of those stories. A survival tool so clever, so brutally effective, that it kept entire communities alive in conditions that would break most people today. Yet somehow it drifted out of memory. Not because it failed, but because the world became too comfortable to notice what it had done. Today we're digging deep into the Viking survival stove, the forgotten heat source so efficient it feels like it was stolen from a survival manual centuries ahead of its time. Let's get straight to it. Vikings didn't survive because they were reckless warriors charging into storms for fun. They survived because everything in their world was designed with purpose. Their homes, their tools, their ships, each one was a blend of simplicity and genius. The survival stove followed the same pattern. At first glance, it looks almost too simple to matter. Just a pile of layered fuel, a controlled burn, and a compact structure. But beneath that simplicity was a system engineered for maximum heat with minimum material. What made it even wilder is that this stove wasn't used for camping trips. It powered daily life in icy regions, on long voyages, and in brutal winters where even iron refused to obey the hands that forged it. This wasn't survival for adventure. This was survival for existence. What really set the Viking stove apart was its layered fuel system. Instead of just tossing logs into an open flame, they actually built it vertically. A tight stack, you know. Wood shavings went at the bottom, then thin split pieces next, and finally larger chunks on top. It's, well, the same idea you'd see later in the Swedish torch, but the Vikings were using it long before it ever popped up in modern survival circles. The secret? Airflow. By controlling the gaps between the layers, they created a chimney effect inside a single log or a compact bundle. Air would run upward, heat stayed focused, and the burn became so efficient it could last for hours without needing constant attention. That meant cooking, heat, and light, all from a portable system you could carry, set down, and light whenever you needed it. You know, modern survivalists love to brag about their so-called one-log fires. But honestly, Vikings were doing this more than 1,000 years earlier. And, well, they were doing it better. One of the biggest headaches for the Vikings was smoke. Indoors, smoke could literally choke you. Outdoors, it could give away your position. Whether they were on trade expeditions, raids, or just travelling long distances, they needed heat, not a giant signal tower. The layered vertical burn really solved this problem. The upward draft forced the fire to burn hotter and cleaner. Wood gases actually ignited instead of just drifting away. The result was a mostly smokeless flame, almost like a primitive gasifier stove, if you can imagine that. And honestly, it didn't matter if you were caught in a windstorm, out on the open sea, or just hiding out somewhere. This thing burned clean. That smoke-free efficiency is part of what made the technique vanish later. People forgot it because the technology wasn't glamorous. It was quiet, practical, subtle, the kind of thing history forgets while celebrating battles and kings. But for survival, it was priceless. If you've ever tried cooking over an open campfire, you know the struggle. Too hot, too cold, too unpredictable. The Vikings solved this by turning the stove into a natural temperature regulator. Because it burned from the inside out, it held a steady heat level for long periods. Vikings could place a pot directly on top of the burning surface, letting the flame concentrate upward while the outer shell stayed intact. This meant food cooked evenly, water boiled fast, and they didn't waste precious fuel constantly adjusting the fire. You can imagine how crucial this was in the north. If firewood ran out, the cold didn't forgive you. It took you. This stove bought them time. Time to eat, time to work, time to survive another day. Vikings travelled constantly, trading across continents, raiding foreign coasts, exploring unknown seas. They didn't have the luxury of carrying huge fuel supplies. Every ounce mattered. That's where the survival stove shined. Because it was self-contained, they could light it, extinguish it, and relight it later. It didn't scatter embers, didn't require building a fresh fire pit, and didn't leave visible traces behind. When you're on the move, that's a superpower. Some historians even believe they use variations of it on ships for heat and cooking during calmer waters. That's how stable the burn was. A floating survival stove, controlled, compact, and powerful. Not bad for a primitive culture. After the Viking Age, Europe got softer, more settled. People built chimneys, big hearths, comfortable homes. The need for hyper-efficient portable fire faded, and when the need fades, the knowledge fades. Then, centuries later, in wartime, especially during World War II, armies rediscovered the value of compact survival fire. Soldiers used improvised stoves made of tins, fuel cakes, and portable burners. Good tools, yes, but none matched the raw efficiency of the Viking vertical burn. What made the Viking stove unique wasn't the fuel or the flame, it was the balance. Just enough air, just enough fuel, just enough structure, no waste, no smoke, no constant tending. It was a survivalist's dream long before survival channels existed. Here's the part that blows people away. If you recreate this stove today, no fancy gear, no modern trick, you get a heat source that outperforms many survival gadgets on the market. It burns longer than most pocket stoves, it produces more focused heat than open fires, it cooks faster than scattered embers, and it works in rain, snow, cold and hard wind. This isn't nostalgia, this is engineering. The Vikings weren't just tough, they were intentional. They understood the physics of heat long before science textbooks tried to explain it. Their survival stove wasn't an invention, it was evolution, the natural end result of people pushed to their limits by nature and refusing to bow to it. You know, modern life brought us a lot of convenience, but it also made us forget the basics. Only recently, through survival communities, outdoor culture and, well, channels like Legacy of Survival, has this fire method started climbing back into the spotlight. People are realizing that, honestly, ancient solutions still solve modern problems. When everything around you fails, the old tricks become the only ones that really matter. And the Viking survival stove? That's one of the tricks worth keeping. If you've ever wanted a taste of raw, pure survival skill, this is one of the best places to start. Recreating this stove reconnects you with a mindset that shaped generations. It's simple, but not basic. Old, but not outdated. A reminder that survival is more than tools. It's understanding. And if the Vikings could rely on it to endure brutal winters, harsh seas, long journeys, and unpredictable dangers, then it's a skill worth adding to your own arsenal. You never know when you'll need it. If you enjoyed this dive into forgotten survival wisdom, make sure you hit subscribe, drop a like, and share this with someone who loves history, survival, or just a good story. More powerful lessons from the past are coming your way on Legacy of Survival. Stay sharp, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.